All right, it is a freaky warm day in March. And where are we today, Jim?
We're about as far east as we can go in Trempealeau County before we run out of county. We're almost in Jackson County.
Yeah?
But we're in the fine little city of Blair, Wisconsin.
Okay, and we're going to do a ride along today with Paul Syverson. And I'm sure most of you remember Paul as being our county clerk for how many years?
Well, I was county clerk for 36 years.
36
but
years.
with the county for 45 and a half.
Oh my gosh.
So, yep.
Yeah, that was a long stint, wasn't
Yep.
it? Okay.
I tell people I started when I was 7.
Well, we're pretty lucky here because I said there were some earlier settlers here in Blair, Wisconsin, and 70 years ago they wrote a book about the 100-year anniversary of the founding of this city.
And that was a hard one to find, wasn't it?
I believe there's only 2 copies in existence. And we were lucky. I said the library does have some copies, but I said if you want a copy of it, you may have to go to the library, twist their arm, and they maybe would print you a copy, and they could use an extra support and an extra $1 or $2. Wouldn't hurt their finances anyhow.
There you go, yes.
But I said they had a lot of information there.
Sure.
And the first settler, I said, I think that we got to talk about was the guy that came in here, Mr. Porter.
And before we go any further, we've got to put a legend to rest. And the story is that Mr. Porter got killed by wolves. Did you ever hear that?
I never heard that story.
Yeah, that was floating around, and it's totally untrue. He did not get killed by wolves. It sounded like when he was coming over Blair Hill into Blair area that he saw some wolves, but they did not attack him and they did not kill him. So, yeah.
Depends which book you read.
It's not as exciting, I know.
Well, he did own a portion of the eastern part of Blair, his farm, and he is resting in the Rest Haven Cemetery. That's when he passed away. His family was here. We did talk about his son earlier, Duke Porter.
Duke, yes.
And a pile of hay. If you want to, you got to look at our video on Coral City and Pigeon Falls and find out the story. But Duke was involved in there.
Okay.
Another son named Ford was, I believe, a distributor of beverages here in town.
Okay.
But anyhow, I said they came here 1855. First settlers, they set up a shop here in town and started going. And after that, the farmers started coming in. They came for business. They had to go to Merlin. That seemed to be their closest port. They bought lumber there, brought it back to build over here, and established company.
To Merrill?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Or Maryland.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
25 miles away.
Yeah.
But they would go up here, up Reynolds Coulee, and then they'd cut along the ridge line, get over to the Black River, and then go up. So I said, this is where the first settlers all started coming. And they had a pretty good community started before the first store came in here. And it was Mr. Gilbert came here with his son, with his cousin, Gilbert Gilbert. And the 2 Gilberts had a store right here close to the Quick Trip.
Okay.
Where Highway 53 and 95 meet, they set up a store. And they were in business for about 3 years, 1870 to 1873, doing well. And then the railroad came to town and he said, we're in the wrong spot. So then he built downtown with the sunshine.
Moved down to closer to the river.
Where the Rise and Shine Cafe is. That was where he set up his business.
Okay.
And the farmer that lived here, his name was Strum. Ole Strum owned the land here. The road went through here past the church. And I said, Ole passed away, but he had donated land for a cemetery, which gets us involved with churches when we get that far. He also had the school on his property. I'm not sure, maybe Paul knows where the school was, the white schoolhouse. They built the school, and you could tell why they called it white, because it was painted white. But that was in 1856. They decided they have education and a church were the 2 important things for all the communities around here. So I said when they talked to Ole, and he said, yeah, we can build that over here. They put up a school. The first year they had 3 months of school, and it was held in Edmund Reynolds' outbuilding on his farm, because there was no schoolhouse till they built the white schoolhouse, 1857-58. And they stayed in that school until 1877 when they built a new school just south of the Zion Church. But the church was not there yet. So it would have been the cemetery and the school would have been the only thing there at the time. But that's where the first school and the second school was. Then 1903, they built another school because they had to expand.
That's the big brick school, right?
And then
And
that,
that's the one that's on Main Street. So I always figured that if they called that Main Street, it must have been the main road
Yeah.
in town. But of course now it's not. It's Broadway.
Yeah.
so then that lasted till 1926 when they had to build the next school, because then they moved the upper grades into the new school and had a high school and they had the lower school, and then we're into modern history and we're not going there. But I think we should kind of get our stuff together here. We're going to do a little drive through town, talk about some of the buildings and the churches here and the first settlers, and see what else we can find here for information in this town, because there's a lot of history here and we don't know it all. And don't bet the farm. We always tell you, don't bet the farm.
We make mistakes, yeah, sometimes, but not on purpose. That's right. All right, let's load up.
Drive over to the mill, that area, and then come down Gilbert Street.
Well, because you're talking about Gilbert. Yep.
Or do you want to go? Because we've got a few early pictures of Gilbert Street, but we're not positive of everybody who lived where or what was in there. But
I found a picture of the Centennial back in the 50. What was it? 1955.
Make sure everything's working. That looks good.
let me
Of
look
me,
at what-
because I was only about 5 years old or less. But it's a picture of me with my white shirt and black pants with a little bow tie with the string down type, you know?
And this is somewhere here where I said Gilbert would have had his store. In this area here, but like I
So
said,
he must have had it before the Stumps then, right? Because that where Rise and Shine is now was the Stump store.
And then here about where 2nd Street came in is where the school was.
The school was over
It'd be
here.
on the left
2nd
side.
Street up.
It was right where the church. It was built before the church. See, the first Lutheran church down at 4th Street used to be a log church. It was a 24 by 30 log building, built in 1856, 58, something there. And that got hit by lightning and burned down.
Because here's 2nd Street.
Yeah. So this
And
is
the school would have been here on our left,
Oh,
someplace in this area. Yeah, it was taken down and a lot was sold for a home.
okay.
Then after the first church over there, when the log one burnt down, there was a church built here in 77, 78, but the school was here already. And then that building burnt down in 1882 when this one was built then.
And this is Zion.
And now it's called the Zion Church.
Was it ever called anything else?
Norwegian Lutheran.
Evangelical Lutheran.
Yeah, it was one of them 5-foot names.
Yeah.
But this one was here, and then in 1900 the first church was rebuilt where the original log cabin was built down below. Then they also had a Baptist ministry church here, which I believe was standing about where the veterinarian shop is here now. Because there's an old map, 1901, and shows a church on the corner of First Street here. So I said that could have been the Baptist church, and they used to have a Methodist person would come in and taught Sunday school there, and then after a while the Baptists were in there over 60 years. I know in 1944 there was still an article in the paper that they were having a Sunday ministry here yet. And then the Catholic Church wasn't built until 1963, St. Ansgard, because the Catholic religion on this side, there were not a lot of Catholics on this part of Trempealeau County. We did a video.
How many Norwegian Catholics are there, Paul?
Not many, I don't
No, I
think.
guess not.
Well, I know in doing research in this town,
Nowadays there probably are, but
you do not find a lot of names that end in SKI in this town either. I've noticed that.
So you want me to go straight?
No, let's make a left and we'll go up to where the old mill used to be.
Okay. So you tell me where to turn again. Then.
Oh, go straight and then we'll come back down Gilbert Street.
Okay.
We don't know all the buildings in town here. A lot of lots are empty. Most of the older buildings are gone. This was the Farmers Union Co-op was down here before, where the Napa store is now. I think that was built in what, 46, I believe, or something like that.
This place on the left?
Yes.
Okay.
well, the mill was over here
Yeah.
on Gilbert Street.
So there are two mills
The original mill.
down here. Yeah.
Yeah, the original mill was on the left side up over here. Now, the guys that built it, Orrin Van Ness and his son John, and Henry Thorgard. They were over here. Orrin already had run a mill. He was running a mill in West Salem. We'll stop here on this, make a right here. He was running a mill in West Salem, and he came over and he built the mill in Ettrick for Ivor Peterson. And then his son John was running that, and Henry Thorgard was working for John.
I'm going to go down to that wayside.
Then the three of them turned around, they came to Blair, and they built a mill here in Blair. And they put the dam across, and they fixed it all up. And in a matter of a couple of years, Henry bought out John Van Ness, and Orrin had gone back to West Salem, and Henry took over the mill down here. He only owned it for a year or two, burned to the ground, so he had to rebuild it. And then it went through a number of different owners. There was, I think it was Spalding's or something like that at first. And then they had even Chenwick was in here. Isop, I think was his name. He was in here for a while. And then they had the Anderson boys.
The Anderson.
Yes, Randolph and Ivan took over, Rudolph. And they took over in 46, 42. And they had mill burned down in 56, and they had to rebuild it in 57. So one thing this town had is plenty of fires. We'll get into that a little bit later.
No.
But when they built the mill, that put another road across the Trempealeau River here, which was a good thing because barely they got it up, somebody broke through the old bridge, which was west of us down here along the Trempealeau River with an ox cart, and that bridge was temporarily out of commission. When they decommissioned the original crossing, I don't know.
So, which mill burned in 1958?
This is the mill.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what everybody seems to remember when that.
And I
burned.
do remember when it burned because we lived just in town here, and my dad was working there, worked at the mill, and we could see the red in the sky.
There's one thing I said, selling lightning rods in this town, I think would have been really profitable, but being an insurance salesman would not have been a good thing because your company would have been losing money. All these older towns, you have to remember that everything was done with kerosene. You know, there was candles and kerosene, so you were working with flammable material to start with. Old wooden buildings, not well insulated. And we've seen everything, pigeons flying up and knocking over a lantern and whatever. These buildings burned, they couldn't help it. And there was no fire suppression. I mean, they had minimal equipment to fight fire. Fact is, I says, at one time, I guess Blair even had a little bit of a fire on Main Street here.
Yes.
In 1891, 45 buildings burned down, about $5 million worth of damage was done in town. But when the mill set up here in 73, that's the same year that the railroad came to town. And the railroad set up the depot down here. Then Wakefield and Fawcett put up a lumber yard, which later became Thomas Hogan and Leon Lumber Yard, which later became the Hogan and Son, and then Andrew owned it, ended up Central Yard, finally bought it out in the 40s, I believe. But the lumber yard was set up here, the depot was in here. A man named Evan Berzing built the first hotel in town, and it was the Blair House. And the Blair House was where the credit union now is across here. Next to him was William Coleman built a hotel that was 20 feet closer, thinking he'd get more business. So it was a Coleman Hotel. The Coleman House was just on this side of the Blair House. And that building later got moved up to the corner here at Gilbert. And it was John Myers owned it. And it was the farmer store downstairs. Myers Hardware was downstairs. John lived upstairs. But here across the railroad tracks.
Right here is where the mill,
Yeah, this is where.
Farmers Union Mill was.
Right here.
Yep.
And what are they doing here now?
Well, the sand mine east of Blair here closed down for a while, and they brought all the equipment here and were storing it until they could get rid of it, quote unquote, get rid of it. So this was packed full of sand.
But this isn't, they're not building anything.
No,
This
no,
is
no, it's just.
And this was a lumber yard across the street.
storage. Yeah. Okay.
And here is the old train depot. Now there had to be another depot.
Which is the depot?
Well, that we thought
Right
was
there?
the depot, but I think that wasn't close to the. There was a spur that came off here, about where we are right now, where that rock pile is.
Okay.
So maybe that was the depot. But
And you had two depots.
oh, okay.
Well,
Because-
maybe one for the Ettrick. and-
There you go. This city was lucky. I said, Ettrick got bypassed. The train didn't stop. The road changed. But Blair was lucky. They had two trains. They had the depots here. They had the highway come right through town. Everything was good until 1891 when there was a slight fire in the corner of the building up here. And like I said, 45 buildings burned down and all of Main Street in Blair was wiped out.
Oh, was this a depot or was this a gas station?
From my recollection,
It's
I only
ga-
remember that it was a gas.
Yeah, it always looks like, was this a Texaco or something? The bad thing is, see, we don't know, there's no records, so somebody could tell us that we're wrong.
We could claim that is the depot.
There was a hotel down on this street on the right side, because it would make sense with the
Near
train
the
depot.
tracks, yeah.
There would have been a hotel on this corner. A&B Peterson had his store in here. And the 1901 map shows that there was a bank over here. And I suppose there had to be a bank.
Funeral home. That,
Oh, back there?
yeah, that used to be the funeral home there
Yep.
in town. First Banks, right there.
That one was built in 1900.
That one.
Yes, it was built in 1900.
This building right here to our right
Uh-huh.
got to be the bank.
Well, yeah, this was the First National.
Oh, gee, we had more than one bank.
Yes, this was First National was 1914. This one was built. The one across the street was built in 1900, and there was one standing behind here when the Great Fire was. This building on our left, this was John Meyer's building. This is the old Coleman Hotel stood over here.
Well,
Oh,
is there anything in this old bank now?
they are making it into a. Oh, I can't remember what it's now. It's been a laundromat.
Okay.
It's been a lot of different things, but they're
They're going to put something else in
yes,
there.
there's
Well, that's
something
good.
coming there.
Yeah. And then this big building over here. This one.
That was John Myers. That he built this. It was John Myers Hotel. Before that, like I said, it was the farmer store was downstairs. John Myers Hardware was downstairs, and he lived upstairs. But then when that burned down, this was put into a hotel. It's an insurance business now, and the lady there, she said this building has been every kind of business except the lumberyard.
Okay.
You are true on that because way back, the basement, Roger Herrick used to have an appliance store in the basement. I don't think there's anything there now. And then on the floor, the main floor here, where Tricor Insurance is, that James Frederickson had a men's clothing store.
See? And
And
then
then I suppose the rooms upstairs were hotel rooms, but not
Yeah.
not at that time. They were now made into apartments. So there's
and in front of us was the Knutson store,
On the right.
and the
Sure.
Knutson garage was next to that.
What's written on the? What was painted on the side there?
autos, sales, and service. Because it's
Yeah.
later in life, I'm going to say, this is where Colby auto dealership was.
Oh,
And then the corner one here was another hardware store. It was a Gamble's.
yeah. It says
Mhm.
autos and implements, maybe, huh?
Yes,
think-
it's abbreviated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of cool.
And the gray building on the end was the original town hall, I think,
Yeah.
built in 1913, 14, something there.
Town of Preston.
Yeah. And across the street was Olson had a blacksmith shop.
Where this Bagneski is?
Someplace on this corner, yeah. It was Olson. He owned a little
Blue one?
strip,
Yep.
so he had a blacksmith shop in there.
More than likely right there.
Do you remember it being a blacksmith shop, Paul?
No, I don't. It was Thompson's. Elvin Thompson had the gas station there and car repairs is what I remember. Thompson's Shell.
And now there's a dress shop in here, and they
Yes.
Oh,
Carol Eckern has her
okay.
dress shop there. It's called Grandma Carol's Dress Shop.
Well, good.
And if you point towards where the fire station is right now, that was a gas station there too.
Where the community center is?
Yes,
and
that was a gas station there. And over on the left-hand side here was Gunderson's egg station.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
Blair was really
They were-
popular for having eggs.
Well, they used to
Yes.
have an egg festival. I
Yep.
remember.
Well,
that.
yes, that was the first, was Egg Festival.
Well, they had electricity here in the city in 1901, and the telephone was here in 1902.
That's pretty.
So they were
early.
pretty progressive. They collected up funding that they could get it here established. City water and sewer was already put in here.
My godmother was the telephone operator in town here.
Where did they have the telephone?
That was
In the
down.
back?
Well, I call it the Syverson building, but it's the other way on top.
Okay.
But this house right here on the right, this is the Porter house.
this one?
This
Mhm.
is the Porter house. And when Jim was talking about how
Richard and Duke, yeah. And
that this was a farm.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you remember how many acres it was? Or
no, I don't.
okay,
Was it a big farm?
it had to have been.
Yeah.
I would think on this side.
Because young Duke even plotted out the streets in the city.
Huh.
So it extended behind us, and it took the cemetery up over here, and it ran almost to the river if it didn't, if I remember on the map.
And then the house across the street here now, it's up for auction right now. It's not in very good shape. But that was the homestead or a house for the Larson family, and I was telling Jim about how I was reading the abstract for that house. It was very interesting because that house was the house on the 120-acre farm on this side of the town, on the street.
Oh.
And then you read in that abstract, it tells about when they sold off land to the canning factory, because before AMPI was cheese making, they were canning vegetables there.
Do you remember them canning?
I do, because I remember where the old pea viner was, because us kids
Sure.
would kind of run after the trucks, because sometimes some
Yeah.
of the peas would fall off, and we'd grab them, and we'd be eating fresh peas.
Help them fall off?
Well, I don't know if we helped them fall off, but that pea viner was out at the intersection of 95 and 53 when you're going towards Arcadia.
Yeah.
But where AMPI is now, that was the canning factory?
That was the canning factory.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track. I said, everything you see in your lifetime changes ownership. That generation dies.
This brown house here on the right is where we were living in this house
Uh-huh.
when the mill burned, so we could see out our windows
Oh my
here at the
gosh.
red sky. Yep.
That must have been quite the fire, because I had
It
a lot of
was.
people say, oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Well, you know, all the dust and stuff that gets in there when it gets started. You'll even see on the internet a grain bin will go down and it'll explode when it hits the ground because the friction from the grain and the dust involved. So, I mean, they're a dangerous thing to really work in when you stop and think of it.
Right.
And nobody does a lot of house cleaning inside there.
No, it's just a little bit of sweeping once in a while.
Yeah. It settles on top of the rafters and wherever else. And so that explosive material stays, and it stays dry.
This is Rest Haven,
This is Rest Haven,
and it's not
affiliated
With any church?
No,
Okay.
No. There's a robin.
oh, there's all kinds.
There's
of-
two robins. They're ready. Probably one of them all winter guys. These guys don't go south for the winter.
But this section of the cemetery is the old section, which we call
Okay.
section 1.
Okay.
But when we come back around out, you'll be able to see some of those old names. We'll have to look when we come back out because all the stones are facing the west. That's one of our
Really?
cemetery rules.
Well, I thought they had to face the east. What happened?
Well, when the first guy started, that was wrong.
Buried to the east, but the names face the west.
Okay.
Okay.
When the first guy put it in, the stone was wrong, so they had to keep it that way now.
All right, now you can read the names, right?
Right.
Against the sun here, so.
Yeah. Okay. Anderson and Odegaard and Wesley, and Johnson and Gunderson.
Well, there were many business people in here by the name of Johnson earlier, but
Trempealeau. Not that one. So, do you know, did the Porters, do they still have relatives here? Did they marry into any family?
Not that I know of. I haven't heard of any.
Well, we could do a whole day in the afternoon walking around and talking about these people. They do these cemetery walkthroughs with these reenactments and stuff, and it's interesting if you have the time to go and listen to some of these stories of these. We're gonna go back down Broadway, I guess.
For a little bit. And
This
then
is Broadway.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
But
why
you-
they say this is the main drag of Blair,
Yeah.
but the main street runs off of it. 19, what did you say?
Well, the original road, you know, came up and I went past the church. Yeah, it went past Zion Church and then it cut over. But see, that jumped the creek. See, it's the mill's fault. The mill changed the whole doggone layout of the town.
Next one. No, two down.
Okay. Because there were the two
And see, here's
Lutheran
Porter
churches.
Street.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a street named after them anyway. But I thought they said the original name was South Bend when it was.
It was.
Post office.
But it couldn't have been many years.
No.
See, the Porters left after Richard died. They left for a while and then came back.
Ah, this one.
So when they came back, it's probably when it got to be Porterville. And then it stayed Porterville until 73 when the railroad came in here. So we're looking at pretty quick times here because it was 56 when they first 55. So within 20 years, it went through like 3 different name changes.
And now we're on Main Street, and this is where the old.
This is
School.
Main Street.
Yep.
Okay. And now this is what? Is there any school
Uh,
in here now?
No, not at all. That school was kind of in the beginning here, or in this area here, and the gym is still there, but that's storage area. And then this was the newer elementary,
Okay.
and that's made into some office buildings.
Oh, okay. But that, where was the great big old brick one? Was that right here?
Back in that empty lot right there.
Okay.
Well, in 1876, they had a terrible flood went through town here too. It was spring of the year in March. The ground was froze, so the water accumulated. It iced over first. Before that, temperature was cold. Then the next day, she really gave her tour. It took out the dam up in Hickston, took the dam out at Taylor. Then she come over here, flooded the whole city of Blair, except for some of this area. It's a little bit higher ground, so a lot of the businessmen lost a lot of goods and such. When it got to Independence, Elk Creek also was flooding, and that's where them 4 young boys got caught on the bridge. They froze their feet so bad, Doc Heiderscheid from Arcadia had to come and he amputated all their feet.
Yeah, I saw
And I
a
have
picture of that.
I have a picture of that at home too.
That was, yeah, everybody's got a picture
But
of that.
right there where the Lake Schooley Creek came down,
Yeah.
it didn't used to come there. It used to go out of town that way and met up with the Reynolds Coulee Creek and then came into the Trempealeau River. But Richard Thompson had a big chicken coop down here, and one of those floods wiped out his chickens.
Oh,
So they moved the
they
creek
moved
over
the
here.
river?
There you go.
They moved the creek.
I bet that had to be before the DNR.
Yeah, there was no such a thing as
Yeah.
DNR then.
Can you imagine the permits today you'd have to do to move a creek? Okay, this is
Now this is the first church,
This is
and the log church stood here. This block on our right here was Frank Emil's block, right? Frank he had the first planing business for lumber and such.
Okay.
So you had a board cut that was all rough cut, but he would plane it that you'd have a decent smooth surface for inside the thing. And there's a little small cemetery here with
they
just
call
a
this the Cornies.
This is the cornice.
yeah, just a few people
So it
in here.
was-
There may be more here than
are.
there's stones, yes.
Yeah.
But
There's back when they had the whatever the plague was.
Oh,
the-
diphtheria?
The diphtheria. There's whole families buried in here.
Oh, boy.
well, I know there was
And the interesting thing about this cemetery is when you go back and read the histories about Hans Jacob,
Yes.
the guy that was hung because he was
Yeah.
doing too many practical jokes, he's buried down here in the corner.
I had Kathy
Unmarked
Kathy
grave.
Allen, who was the church secretary.
Yep.
She said, if you go out in the Corney Cemetery and there's some lilac bushes, and that's where Hans Jacob was buried.
That's where he's buried.
Yeah. Because somebody donated a plot for him. Yeah, well, we won't go there today.
Yeah,
We won't go there because there's still a lot of the family left in
Yeah.
Blair. of
And
that family.
we don't want Blair to be known for the lynching.
There you go.
Well, let's just say, to get a bunch of Norwegians so riled up that they lynch somebody, that's really saying something.
I think this white building used to be the town hall or something,
Yeah.
or
This
township
one
building.
Next up here.
Coming up here. Like I said, this church was built in 1900, and that's where the old log church used to be from 1870 something here.
So what is it now, Paul?
It's called Friendship First. It's a community center.
Okay. Do they still have the lutefisk dinners?
No.
No?
That stopped at number 82 or 83.
Okay.
That's how many dinners. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember the year.
They lost the recipe for making lutefisk.
Yeah. Couldn't figure out how to do it anymore. But now this white building, this was,
That used to say Town Hall
yeah,
on
it got
it.
painted over.
The
didn't it?
Preston Town Hall, yeah.
This is just storage now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's got to be a pretty old building, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's got the square front and the step back, you know. I
Yeah.
said, so yeah, you would think so, but
Yeah. And now across the street here from what was first, that was the parsonage, right?
yeah, it used to stand here according to the old map. There was supposed to have been a parsonage down in this area.
This is the parsonage,
Right
yes.
there. Because Blair had 2 pastors, right? One for each church.
This got to be called the Urberg Church, and we're on Urberg Avenue
Right.
right now. And because the father was a pastor for I don't know how many years, and then his son was. So probably 70 some years of the Urbergs.
And I had older people tell me when they were young, if they belonged to this church, they were not allowed to go over by Zion, and vice versa.
I don't know about that part, but
yeah, that's what they told me.
it was kind of known that this church was the farmer's church, and Zion was the businessmen's church.
Okay.
It's kind of how it was.
Well, wasn't Arcadia split by kind of by nationalities? You had the Germans in one end of town, and yeah,
And the Polish.
yeah. So that was kind of the same situation there, and one kind of didn't affiliate with one or the other. But I know the wife's great grandfather, he was bilingual, so he could do a business with both. So he stood a good chance there. He was in the right place at the right time.
And now they have senior meals here, huh?
Yes,
Oh,
on
that's
Tuesdays.
good. Yeah.
And they just had a program here with Looney Lutherans
Looney Lutheran.
that came from Minneapolis or something. They do shows
Oh, okay.
all over the country. They were here.
Okay. So a lot of the houses around here must be older ones, maybe. From around the turn of the century or so.
Some of the larger ones you would think so. The 2-story like this one on being remodeled here in the corner.
Yeah.
The typical flat roof on the top, you know.
Nice.
We'll have to do a show one time on the different types of homes.
Architecture.
The architecture of homes. We'll have to get somebody that's an expert on building.
I love that upstairs balcony.
And they're ready to go for Christmas already. Look at that.
Well, he just picked up his Christmas,
Oh,
so he's just got that left to pick up yet. But this yard was just full of Christmas ornaments. Yes.
okay.
This house on the left used to be a nursing home, so there's many
Oh,
rooms
really?
in that.
This
It was
White
called
House.
Nian's Rest Home.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, this looks like an old house. Doesn't it? The architecture on it just looks like it was an old one.
And the only family ever was Matches.
Okay. Okay. So now we'll go up to what? City Hall?
Yeah, why not? If we get lost, we can stop, ask directions.
Yeah, Paul will help us. He knows where we're going.
The library, city hall, and police station here, was that opera house before or
Yes,
something?
the second floor where the library is now was an opera house. That's where they used to put on the school plays.
Because I said they have
They
a
left it with the stage is
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
there and a balcony, and then now the library is taking it over. Yep. But
and across the street here was a Blair Hotel, stood right in the corner.
no, right on the corner was Blusky's. Had a house there, and that house got moved someplace in town here. I don't remember where, but right next to that was where the hotel was. Before you get
okay.
to the white building down there.
Okay.
which is where the dairy bar was. That was the dairy bar.
A lot of people have fond memories of that dairy bar. It must have been very popular.
It was very popular. That was where the kids went. But a house on the corner here, and probably the second half of the bank is where the hotel was. And I remember going to that hotel. So that's been gone for many years now.
That, and like I said, then the Coleman house was next door to it yet, and that one got moved.
And this was the dairy bar here, right?
Yep.
And what is this now? Is it insurance?
Union.
Well, it's nothing now because that business,
Okay.
the Union Bank insurance went out of business too.
But this was the dairy bar.
This was the dairy bar.
Okay.
This building on the left here on the corner, that used to be some type of a store.
Well, I can't remember. Well, this was a restaurant, but down on the corner. No, I think the whole thing was the red and white grocery store. This was a grocery store.
Did that red and white move a couple times? It must have.
I only remember it there. But then you said this was the Gilbert building, which then turned into the Stumps.
No, Stumps is the
This building right here.
okay, yeah.
where Rise and Shine
It's been
is.
remodeled, yeah.
And now it's the Rise and Shine
Cafe.
Cafe.
Okay.
Across the street, yeah, that was the bank. 19.
Yeah, that was a bank, but then right there where it says welcome,
Uh-huh.
that right there was where Pete Karlinski had his bakery shop.
Oh.
And the big thing about the bakery shop was on Friday nights before ball games at school, you went down and got your hamburger there. And the hamburger buns were like plate size, and he had a hamburger that went on it that size. That was.
I know there was a barber shop along that side there. A hardware store was in there.
Over there was the old hardware. Yep.
Which was the hardware?
Where it says A New Day. That was in front of that white car down there.
Oh, down there.
Yep.
Okay. That
Yep.
was the hardware store. Okay. What was in this one right ahead? of us?
Make
The
a
hair-
left.
Harlan Larson had his plumber shop in here on this side.
Okay.
I can't remember what was over on the other side.
Because the old post office was along this side at one time. John Myers and John Gilbert had a meat market on this side.
And right here where this Hofer's is right now, that used to be a restaurant too.
Oh.
Midtown Cafe.
And there might have been even a shoe store on this side.
I remember the shoe store down on Gilbert.
But like I said, the business has changed. Some of the people, there was a Duxbury had a livery stable.
Wait a minute. Do you see this little brick building in between
Oh, yeah.
the two?
Yeah.
That was the bowling alley.
Really?
It had 2 lanes. And I remember when I was younger, we'd go down there and they hired high school kids to set the pins. And so you could open the back door and you see those guys sitting up above and putting the pins in the racks and dropping them down. But that was the bowling alley right there.
Well, that was really a narrow little
Did the job.
building.
They only needed 3 feet.
Yeah, it was only 2 lanes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh, I never knew that.
Every town had different businesses and industries, and the ski clubs. Everybody go skiing.
Yep.
And a lot of these buildings you see are older, but I'm not sure. One of them here was a drugstore. And we've got a picture with an airplane coming across that
yeah.
drugstore.
It might have been this one right here.
The green one?
Yes. The one on the
Oh,
end was
yeah.
another restaurant.
Well, they've got those big false fronts on them, so they must be older ones. Huh. And what was this one right here?
I always remembered it as Halverson's Insurance Agency and apartments upstairs.
Okay.
Roger Halverson had it, and now it's basically all apartments, I think.
And this is a garage.
And that's newer too, I don't.
Yeah, because we used to have a newspaper here too. Frank Beach had Whitehall Times and the Blair Banner. He sold that to his brother, and his brother committed suicide. Must have been too hard to work, and then he bought it back. And then Scott Nichols owned it in '23.
Now, I remember there being an IGA store here,
Yeah.
where the dollar store is.
It was Bill Schrader had his IGA, and then of course it was who else had it? Marty Matchey had it for grocery for a while, and I think somebody else had it for grocery. Oh, Clippers. Clippers had it for a while, and then it was closed down, but then the Dollar General came in.
But then they had a fire.
Yes.
But is it working again
It
now?
just opened up a couple weeks ago.
Okay, that's good.
But that was the main business district. Most of Blair was that was on that street. But it was close to the depot, and it was the main drag through town for many, many years.
This house on the corner here was the
gray one.
Zion Parsonage.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of places there in the city, they seem to give the Parsons, a home. Where in the country years ago, they gave them acreage.
Yeah.
You have a farm to work too, in case you didn't get a lot in a collection plate, you just could make a living.
Well, back in the olden days, over at First, they had a little 5-acre parcel just on the edge of town. There's houses built there now, but that was where the parson put his horse out to pasture while he was doing the church service. And I was treasurer for the church for a long time, and we rented it out for farmland. So I was getting a check for the church for rent for that 5-acre parcel.
No, every piece of land used.
This house on the left here was this was also a tourist home. So if people come in, they could rent a room there. So that was some kind of a hotel too.
Well, like I said, there was a terrible fire in 1891, and most of the downtown got burnt out. And then they were going to redo the town, thinking let's do a town square, kind of like Galesville has. But they couldn't agree on the size and where and whatever, and it ended up being, we just put your building back where it was, and every man for himself.
Oh, that sounds about right.
But I said it was like $5 million worth of damage.
Right.
In today's money, so.
In today's money, yeah.
Even like when Gilbert first started his first store, he was originally going to start with an Anderson. I believe it was Anderson or Emerson. They were in La Crosse, they bought the supplies, they had them at the warehouse, going to get them moved up here to Blair. The warehouse caught on fire, they lost their supplies, Anderson threw in the towel. Gilbertson got a new grub stake, started over, and he started his store. And he was a grain buyer, he was an entrepreneur, he started a creamery in 1885. So I see these first people, they were movers and shakers.
And talking about fires, you see this little parking lot on the left here?
Yeah.
That is where Countryside Lefse. That's where they made Lefse.
Oh,
well, they actually started out by the Quick Trip now, which was out there because it was Ronnie Olson. But then they moved it because they got so big. They moved it here, and wouldn't you know, it burned down too.
So. That's why I said fire insurance in this town would not be a profitable business, but lightning rods and such. I said, yeah,
now
you could sell a lot of those.
St. Ansgar's on.
Oh, but anyway, yeah, if you look at straight ahead here,
that would have been the school.
That would have been the right straight where we're going would be where the big brick building where the bell tower was. And that bell tower.
The 1903 school, yeah.
Yep, is down in the park. And then next to that was the
1926.
Yep. That way.
Okay, so now this is Simmons.
Simmons has it. Yep.
Okay.
And of course, talking about fires, there was a fire down in Ettrick where the livestock barns were.
Right.
There was a company in there that made corrugated cardboard for Ashley Furniture. They got burnt out, so now they're in part of the old school here too.
Okay.
And that's beyond the old kerosene lantern times too here, so fires still happen. But luckily, I said we do have better fire prevention nowadays than years back.
Well,
because when 1891, supposedly, one story said it was caused by a stove in Kittleson's store. Another one said that was chimney had settled and then sparks in the attic caught the attic on fire. Well, if you're fighting with a bucket brigade fire in a second floor attic, you're not going to make very good progress when you're handing buckets up and down stairs and trying to...
Or ladders.
Yeah, so you could see why downtown, the buildings were all wood, one next to the other. Next to impossible to stop.
Okay. Well, yeah, when everything was made out of wood and you were burning wood, I mean, things happen. Let's face it. Okay.
All of these sand cars.
Around this way?
You can, then you can come out to the
Over
closer
there?
to the lake.
Okay.
Yeah, you just come back in where he went out.
Okay. Now this park, what's it called now? This
It's
Blair-
called Riverside Memorial Park.
Okay.
And we just put in pickleball courts here now.
Okay.
Sure picked up that pickleball.
Isn't that something?
Everybody loves pickleball.
Years ago, it was tennis or something, you know, and that was about it, you
and
know.
the one half was supposed to still be tennis. A little basketball court. They made that into the ice rink this winter. It wasn't too good a job there, but
And then this is Lake Henry.
this is Lake Henry.
Do you know who Henry was that it got named after?
I don't. I have no.
How about you, Jim? Do you know why it's
I heard of
called?
a John Henry. No, I
Well,
didn't dig into that history. That wasn't part of my assignment.
Okay.
That's a
I just
different
wondered.
subject.
I never
There's-
heard.
Because on this lake too, we just had it dredged.
Oh,
A couple
yeah.
years now it's been, and we put fish cribs out on the ice. So when the ice melted,
They fell
they
in.
went down in, and you can
Uh-huh.
see there's still some here. So
Yeah.
that means there's still ice. We kind of need to sit here and just watch one go. But
Yeah.
but this last week, a big chunk of ice broke off and flowed down the river with those ice.
With your cribs on
fish
top.
cribs on it. And the city had to go out
Oh,
and get it
no.
stopped because it would have, all those cribs would have messed
Yeah.
up the dam.
Yeah.
So,
Who'd have thunk, huh?
who would have thought? Yes. So there's a few left yet.
And this park gets a lot of use.
Yes, it does.
And it's well supported by the community,
Yeah, it's a
considering, you know, I
beautiful
says
park.
Yes.
there was a lot of money to get it dredged out and everything, but people have fundraisers and other events. It's all the small towns here in Wisconsin. I said, everybody pulls together, supports your community. How many non-profits each community has, yet there's always support to keep them going.
We have the 3rd of July down here. That's a big celebration with our
Mhm.
fireworks.
Now, this over here, that was the top of the school?
Yes, that dome right there was the top of the 1903 school. They brought it down here, and we've had to refix it. When you were talking about the log, that's one of the oldest buildings in the park, is that log cabin right
Oh,
there.
really? So that wasn't anybody living in it?
No, not, well, not that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not when it was down here, maybe
Yeah.
wherever they moved it from. Or maybe it was built there too, I don't know.
You know, one person told me, they said the notches will tell you the nationality that built it.
Oh.
Each notch is supposed to, different nationality had a different style notch in their logs.
Oh,
I
didn't
never
know.
followed it up to see if there is a difference, but there's not a lot of log homes to look at no more. But
No, true.
So do you think we pretty much...
I think we pretty much covered Blair from top to bottom.
I
There's a lot
think
of
so.
businesses I know we missed. People maybe will feel bad you didn't talk about Grandpa's store, but we don't know all the information. We do
Right.
the best, and you can add on to our documentary anytime you want. You just
That's
turn
right.
around, you can contact the studio, tell Nancy she was all wrong.
Yep.
She did it all. She did it all wrong. Go back, do it over. But we're doing the best we can with the information we find. But if your community doesn't have a historical society, or you don't have some kind of a place to save them records, get together with a coffee clutch or something and start saving that information. Because we have to find this information to try to compile a little bit of a program, and it's getting harder and harder to do because people like Paul aren't going to be with us forever with some of this
No.
background, because sooner or later we're going to be the short end of the stick here.
Now, is this from World War II? Must be, huh?
I couldn't tell you.
You know, Jim?
No, I can't tell you. You'd have to go out and check the serial number, whatever else.
Oh, sure.
It could be W1.
We could go down through town one more time and then go out.
Yeah, check how many people are in the taverns this morning.